Hello, my friend. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're doing well. If you're new here, my name is Jaden, and this is PathTune, where we are charting a course to the shores of your highest potential. This is ultimately about how to change and evolve your vibrational frequency over time to match the frequency of your highest and best life path. We do have the power to change where we end up, and you can experience a better future simply by changing yourself and tuning to your highest potential. This channel is all about sharing the ideas, information, perspectives that will help you create your own unique personal symphony of health, wealth, love, and happiness, fulfillment, and freedom with the unique ratios of what is important to you. So if that sparks your interest, please consider subscribing and coming along as we explore the path of self-discovery with the intention of using the valuable information and ideas we learn to better ourselves and our lives in some way. This is about using a variety of ideas from different sources to our advantage to craft a diverse, balanced perspective for yourself. This allows you to make the most aligned decisions for yourself and build your level of personal awareness, and how we can use this outlook to better harness the power of your inner creative genius, which we all have. On this channel, we will explore topics relating to truth, knowledge, freedom, and authentic living. So I would love for you to join me, and please hit that subscribe button if this sounds good to you. Thanks for bearing with me as I read that. You know, we all start somewhere, and the more you just do it, then it will start to come more naturally. You know, I've experienced resistance, and there were things holding me back for a long time. And there's still echoes of those things. And we may never fully get rid of our fears or what holds us back, because there may still be the echoes of it, even if you make the intention to let it go. Some things are so deeply ingrained within our subconscious that we can't just simply banish them from the memory of our energetic field, which it's always in the now moment, but we are complex beings. And sometimes it's not as simple as just saying and affirming, I let this go. And one thing I recently heard was, and I like this idea, in order to let something go, you must understand it. You let it go through understanding. And I really liked that, because when you can understand that it's no longer logical or it's no longer valid as you are now, it no longer serves you, but it doesn't make sense for you anymore. And it may have served you in the past, and you can see that. And so just going through the process of understanding it, and then giving it appreciation and love for how it did serve you, because our fears are there to try to protect us. It's our version, our egos, our inner child's trying to protect ourselves. So it has served you in some way. So you can recognize it for that. But at some point you got to move forward. And that's what we're doing. So I thank you for bearing with me as I am figuring it out. And I figured, why not just do it anyway and be open and honest with you guys? Because I know you can relate. And we're all just trying to figure out life. No one has it totally figured out. So, with that in mind, let's start the video and start the message, which is for you. And if you found yourself on this video, and if the title called to you, then there's a message in here for you. But let's first kick it off with some frequency to center us and give us some good uplifting vibes, shall we? It's interesting how our energy varies day to day, different points in the day. And that's where discipline comes in. Because you can't rely on feeling good all the time. You can't rely on feeling in the flow or in the zone all the time. And that's what's coming to mind right now because I'm doing this 30-day video challenge, which I don't even know. I know why I decided to do it, but I just didn't think about it too much. I got the idea from somewhere else. Said that's sounds like a good idea. Didn't really entertain the reasons why not to do it because I've been knowing that I've been wanting to do this for a long time. And if not now, when? But I do notice how, for example, in the video yesterday, I was more in a flow. But you just got to start going. You just gotta get warmed up. That's another thing. Because it'll come. You know, nobody's perfect. Yeah. Nobody's perfect. And you don't have to be perfect all the time, man. It's okay. You're human. Thank you. Give myself that grace and thank you for giving me that grace as I'm figuring it out. So, on that note, we are going to be speaking about pendulum of life. When you're at the point where you're almost there, what's known as the shadow's last stand. That's a cool idea. What your shadow is. It sounds good to me. Maybe I'll write those down so we don't forget. And thanks for being here with me. Happy to have you here. Let's just hang out, talk about some stuff for a minute. You down? Cool. So, we have a little notepad here. Hello. So what did I say? I said, right before you succeed, shadow's last stand. What is the shadow? Well, it's like a triple W. See that? Yeah. I like that. I think we'll go with that and we'll see what else comes. But I also wanted to talk about the number 9. All right? Cool. Let's jump into it. So, let's go in reverse order because that's what I'm feeling. So, the number 9. The number 9. The number 9. It's every number has significance. Every number has a message. And we as humans through the millennia, we have somehow associated meaning with numbers, which I can understand where it comes from, aka numerology. But we give everything in this world meaning. Therefore, everything on some level is meaningless. You know what I mean? Have you heard that before? Nothing really has intrinsic meaning to it until there is a mind that gives it meaning. So you are what brings meaning into your life through your perspective and through what you place value and meaning on. So we have, as humanity has given meaning to numbers. And I would like to go over the number 9 real quick. And what's interesting about the number 9 is that we are in 2025 right now. And 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, that's 4 plus 5, is 9. So we are in a 9 year. And I thought we might just jump on the internet machine together and take a look at what that could mean. All right? So the number 9, we'll say numerology, the number 9 in numerology. All right? Let's check it out. Hey, I'm back. So in numerology, number 9 represents completion and transformation, embodying qualities such as compassion, humanitarianism, and wisdom. It signifies the end of a cycle, because 9 goes to 10, and 10 is just a 1. 1 plus 0, right? So the 9 is the ending of cycles. So this year, if you look at it from a numerological standpoint, it's the end of cycles. Now, I'm not here to talk about 2025, but I thought that this would bring us a little bit of inspiration, so I'm just following that flow. So are you feeling like maybe something in your life is ending? Maybe an old version of you is coming to a close. And you're making space, you're cleaning house, maybe you're purging, maybe you're getting rid of things. You've been working on getting rid of things about yourself, your past self, old habits. Let me know in the comments if you've been working on that, if that's going on for you. I can relate. And it's been a kind of a slow ending. It's a gradual process of letting go of the old version of myself. What's cool about the number 9, it's also associated with wisdom and spiritual enlightenment. The 9 is like the mediator of all the other numbers. It can understand both sides. So it's really connected to your inner wisdom and your intuition. So this is a reminder. This is a channeled reminder to tap into your own inner wisdom and to be willing to release what is no longer serving you and to move forward onto the next chapter. Because you can't experience the next chapter if you're still holding on to the past one. If you don't turn the page, you can't experience the rest of the book, and this book is going to be pretty freaking awesome. And it has been. It's been full of growth and experiences. Some sad, some happy, some scary, some exciting. But it's time for the new. It's time to welcome in the new. You know what I mean? So, we're sitting here at a number 9. There you are, smiling, ready to go. If we go back, we talked about the number 9. So right before you succeed, here's an idea for you, all right? Let's talk about this. So, what happens right before you succeed? Let's just get rid of this. Let's talk about the shadow. So we have, did I do that in the last video? Let's do it again. Let's do it again, because why not? So we have a circle, and in this circle we have, wow, that was bad. Let's try that again. Good enough. That was good enough for me. We're not looking for perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. We're going with good enough. Then we change this. We're going to go a little thicker there. We're on a marker. Let's fill this in. And this is basically existence in the physical reality. And the reason I say that, because at a higher level, in higher dimension, it transcends duality. So, but we are in this dimension of duality and polarity, where there's light and dark. But that's what this symbol is teaching, is that they are one and the same. I wish that it would give me a perfect circle on that. Good enough. It's good enough. No, it's not. What? Oh, shader. I did a shader. I don't want to do a shader. Alright, that's fine. Whatever. Alright, so light and dark, right? Two parts of the whole. We have our light side of ourselves, and this is mostly in our conscious awareness, because for the most part, we want to present ourselves, we want to show our best face to the world. We don't always do that when we're triggered by fear or anger. But for the most part, we tend to know our light side better because the light is lit up. You can see it. It's awareness. It's in the conscious awareness. It's in your sphere of attention. So you can see it because it's being lit up. Now our shadow. We have our shadow. Our shadow can seem like it's a negative thing, you know, the shadow. Scary. Why is it scary? I think that what that comes from is because why are people afraid of the dark? Because you can't see and you don't know what's there. There could be monsters in the dark, right? That's where the monsters are. They hide in the dark. But what if I were to tell you that it's not really any monsters in the dark? What the monster is the unknown. The unknown is the monster. And why is the unknown so scary to our conscious mind? Because our mind is hardwired to protect us and to keep us safe, and it's hardwired for survival. That's what I was looking for. So we are evolutionarily engineered, designed, evolved to survive. So the things that we are not familiar with, the unknown, the darkness, we tend to be resistant to it. We tend to lean away from it. Makes sense, right? So with that, there are aspects of about our shadow which are not necessarily bad. They are just the parts of yourself that haven't seen the light, that you haven't looked at as much. And this can go into, if we talk about the mind, we can draw an image for you of an iceberg. It looks like a snow cone. Let's make that a little less rigid. There you go. So, some say 90, some say 95. I'm just going to stick with 90. So this is 90% right here. And this is the subconscious. I don't think I spelled that right. Conscious. Whatever. And then we have 10%. Okay. This is the mind. Now, most of it is your subconscious. And what's under the water is unseen. If we have a telescope, I'm just having fun with the drawings, as you can tell. So if we're looking, and we're up here, on a hill or something, we see a glacier out there. We can see the tip. We can see a little piece of ice floating, but most of the mass is existing underneath the shore, underneath the water. And that's below our line of sight. That's in the darkness. But is the subconscious, is the unseen part negative? No. It's actually what keeps the glacier afloat. And it allows the 10% to be seen in the light. So, there are parts about our shadow, and I will go into this in another video. You may already know a good amount. But this is a reminder that to not demonize the parts of yourself that maybe you're not a fan of. There's a reason that things have evolved this way, and the things that we resist often persist, and the things that we neglect and try to avoid without addressing it, they get buried, and then they affect our behavior. And until we do the work of addressing those things, of opening the door to our subconscious, and in that door is the dark. It's dark behind that door, but you have to walk through it and start to address these things. How do you know what aspects of these are your shadow? Our shadow tends to be here. Let's look it up a little bit together, right? Because I don't have all of this on the top of my head. I've done a good amount of research on this, but I'm just feeling a little bit it's 10 o'clock at night. I don't know. Excuses, Jaden, excuses. Shadow. We'll just say shadow work. It's become more of a trendy thing recently, but it's actually good because look, it's Healthline, Psychology Today. Let's see what Psychology Today has to say about it. Repressed parts of ourselves that we find unpleasant or cannot tolerate acknowledging. It is the nature of our shadows that we cannot see them clearly. Because it's dude, it's so cool. Shadow work is the unification of who we consciously are with the parts of ourselves that we repress. That's what I was saying. To understand, and this comes, Carl Jung really did a lot of foundational theories and research on this. But a repressed part of ourselves, we try to avoid it. Yep. Negative reactions. We may resent that side of ourselves. So that's where unconditional self-love comes in, working on that. Probably do a video on that. But the point being is that when you can acknowledge the things and do the shadow work, what the shadow work is just confronting it. Got to confront the fears, face it, acknowledge it, understand it, give it your light of your conscious awareness, and then it's no longer a shadow. That's how you heal it, and then you can integrate it, learn the lessons from it, change your behavior, because now it's in your conscious awareness, so you can't just operate and get triggered and then not be aware of where that trigger came from anymore once you start to acknowledge these things. You can't just keep operating unconsciously. And that's what we're here to do, is bring awareness to all the different parts of ourselves so that we can integrate the lessons, integrate the shadow and the light, and become whole. Isn't that cool? And once you become whole, then you can really start making some great progress on the things you really want to create. But it's the shadow that is holding you back a lot of the time. And the shadow, like I was saying with the subconscious, it's really related to the subconscious. So subconscious fears, blocks, they're kind of wrapped up in your shadow. So shining light on these things and acknowledging them is the first step. Then you can begin to heal, become whole. Now you can operate with a clear signal and send out your intentions and create more effortlessly and in flow. And once you're riding the flow and you're in flow with the universe and reality, then things really start happening for you in the direction that you would prefer. But a lot of the times we have a desire and we want to create something and we want to have a certain manifestation, we want to create a certain result in our lives, and we self-sabotage. We self-sabotage because of our shadow. So in order to stop self-sabotaging, we need to become friends with the shadow. And then integrate them, because it's recognizing that they're already part of the same thing of the being, which is you. So it's not separate from you, it is you. So you got to accept it, acknowledge it, love yourself. It's going to be okay. Yeah, it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but just do the work so you can get through it and then get on to the other side and then actually enjoy your life more. Or you're just going to keep avoiding it and stay in this low level of existence. When you could be living up here, you could be living a such more fulfilling reality and have more joy and happiness and excitement. But because you're afraid of looking at what's underneath in the dark, it's stopping you and is putting a glass ceiling from how high you can go. You got to be willing to go into the depths of hell in order to be able to ascend to heaven. You can't just stay in the middle ground and expect to experience the highs that life has to offer. But it takes courage to go down. And I know that you have it within you. And that's why you're here watching this video right now. And we are all here to support each other. So I know you can do it. And I know that you have it in you. You have the inner fire within you. You have the strength. You just need to do it. And it's time. The world is in the point. Everything, the stars are aligned for you to move forward. For you to address the things you need to address so that you can live the life that you really want to live. And I know that you can do it, but you only have a limited amount of time. And I'm speaking to myself as well. So it's about time to just do it. And what was that I wrote down that I liked? I want to share this with you. I'm going to turn one day into day one. And that's what this is right now for me. So we're talking about our shadow. We're talking about the conscious mind, subconscious. This is all coming together for you. If you're enjoying this video, I invite you to like the video, drop a comment of what element of the shadow has been kind of in the back of your mind. What are something that's holding you back? Most of it comes down to fear. Maybe put something that you want to do. I would love to hear that as well. What's a goal of yours, and then what's holding you back from that goal? Let's start shining light on the reasons why you're not taking action. This is good. This is good stuff. We're making progress here. And in these videos, I would encourage you to not just consume this content, but to then use it and take action afterwards. I highly encourage you to take an action. I will do my best to give you an idea of what that action could be, but the comment is a good action, it's a baby step. So like I said, do the comment, put in what's something that comes to mind that may be holding you back. Now it's in your field of awareness. Now you can address it that it's in your field of awareness. Okay? We're making progress. This is great. So we're going to stop sabotaging ourselves. We're going to integrate our shadow. One thing that I think is honestly pretty epic and cool is the shadow's last stand. And it happens right before you're at the edge of succeeding. And this is what's so interesting to me. Let me hurry and see on this. Is there anything? Let's see what else the psychology today has to say for the shadow work. Hard and comfortable work, hard and uncomfortable. So our shadow both has light and dark. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, we talked about why we fear. When we do not acknowledge our shadow, we possess a distorted view of the world. That's interesting, and I totally agree with that. One that is based on trying to maintain our self-concept, a sense of who we are. This puts us at risk of projecting our shadow onto other people, hurting our relationships in the process. Yeah. Once we stop resisting our shadow self and begin to integrate it into our lives, we get some of that energy back. And that's what I mean when I'm saying you become more whole. Things will become lighter if you just face it with courage. Do it. Face it. I believe in you. I know you can do it, and I'm here for you. You can always drop a comment. I would love to give feedback and give ideas that can help. I went to freaking hell and back, and I'll probably do it again. And I've done it multiple times, and they've gone deeper. It's been a freaking journey, but it's so cool because that's what we're here for. We're not here to just play around, splash around in the shallow waters. Let's have an adventure. And we're accepting that call to adventure. And we're not refusing the call anymore. So how to do shadow work? While specific tools and techniques used in shadow work can vary widely, there's a simple framework. Recognize it, label it, name it to tame it. Label it. Once you put words to something, then you can put it into a box. Now it becomes addressable. It becomes malleable. Now you can mess with it and stretch it and analyze it. But if you don't put words to it, it seems much bigger than it is. So identify the best you can. Work on identifying with words what the feeling is that is holding you back. It's probably more than one thing. I just wrote out like 15 things for myself. And it's not the first time I've done that. This is a continual process, and as we evolve, new things will come up to your awareness. So, don't just think you do it one and done and then it's over with. This is ongoing process, but it's refining yourself. It's sharpening, tempering the blade so you can become a sword for the ages. Identifying it, owning it, accept yourself. It's okay. You're not perfect and you have light and darkness within you. We are beings of duality and we have both light and dark. That's who we are. It's what humanity is. That's why humanity has done some pretty dark shit, but also done some pretty light stuff. So, humanity is both, and you have that within you. And once you accept it and become acknowledge of the shadow that you don't want to look at, now it just doesn't spring up on you out of nowhere. And then you tame it and become friends with it and integrate it. And align. Then you get aligned. And that's when things really start going in your favor. And your intention becomes so much more powerful because, like I said in the last video, if you go watch it, the video on manifestation, when you're in alignment, now you're creating a clear signal and there's not interference in the signal that you're sending out to the universe. So you want to make your signal as clear as possible. And the more clear it gets, the more strong it gets. Just like a radio channel, if there's a bunch of interference and static and noise in it, you can't really hear what the song is. You can't hear the words that well. You can't hear the melody. But when it's a clear signal, you can hear the whole song and you can jam out to it. This was a pretty basic surface level article. And I pretty much mentioned most of the things in here. But the exercise, here's an exercise. Who I am not. Just do some research, right? I'm not, like, this is Psychology Today. There's a million websites, but don't just look at one thing. Like, definitely diversify your research. But it also comes down to accepting yourself, and self-acceptance is crucial. And just give yourself permission to not be perfect. And it's okay because we all have flaws, and that's what makes a good hero. No one likes a hero that's perfect. That's why in all the movies, there's always a flaw that the hero has. There's always a challenge that they need to go through in order to evolve, because the challenge is what makes them be able to evolve. It's the opportunity to grow. So it's actually a gift. The struggle and the discomfort and the resistance you're feeling is your opportunity to evolve, and it's the call to adventure waiting for you to accept it. But you have to just say, okay, I'll do it. I'll face it. I'm putting down in my list of video ideas that we're doing the hero's journey, because the hero's journey is just so freaking awesome, and it parallels with life. So, all right, we're almost done. We're almost done with the video. If you've made it this far, you're awesome. You really are. We're about 40 minutes in. If you have the attention span to be able to do this, you can use that. You have what it takes. Man, most people don't have the attention to be here this long. So if you're still here, you can apply yourself, you can discipline yourself, you can focus yourself, and there's a reason you're here. Maybe there's something within you that is saying, yes, this is the message for me. So don't just listen and then move on. Think about what you're going to do now that you've heard these things, now that you've reminded yourself of what you already know. But now it's in your conscious awareness. Don't just let it go away again. Integrate. Do something. All right. I'm repeating myself. Let's wrap it up, shall we? Because I should probably go to bed pretty soon. So we talked about, so this is the Shadow's Last Stand. This is so freaking cool. And I had this realization, I don't know, maybe a year ago. Time. I'm like a dog. It could be 4 months ago. It could be a year ago. Not really sure. But the Shadow's Last Stand, the way I understand it, is like as you're evolving, there's multiple versions of you. So you can think of your shadow as a part of you that is holding on to coping mechanisms that maybe not be fully serving you anymore, but have served you in the past. And those coping mechanisms, whatever they may be, coping with fear, anxiety, whatever, those are what makes the shadow feel safe. And the shadow, you can also think of part of it as your inner child. All of these things are connected. They're not separate. You're a synergistic, multidimensional being. So every part of yourself is connected. It just helps to kind of break it up into segments in order to talk about it. But just remember, like, everything is communicating. Every cell of your body is communicating with all the other cells. So what's an illustration? So your shadow, there's your shadow, and there's your light body. And they're two parts of the same whole. And there's your whole being. And when you start to walk in a certain direction and you're not bringing your shadow with you, your shadow will start to be left behind and feel left behind. So then it will hold on to the aspects of your past self. It will then basically become louder, and some of the traits of things that maybe anger or certain reactions, it's the whole trigger thing. When you get triggered, that's just because you haven't done the work. That's why you're still getting triggered. Do the work. But the shadow's last stand is something that's really cool, because when you have made the decision to move forward and you're making good progress, you're doing some work, you're addressing the things about your shadow that you are wanting to work on, time's going by, you're identifying it, you're thinking before you're speaking, you're responding rather than reacting, you're doing well. And you get to a certain point where you're right on the threshold. It's like you're walking on a cliff. You're walking along, and you're happy, walk. And then you get to the point where you need to take a leap of faith and jump. And the shadow will do everything it can to stop you from moving on to that next level of a higher vibration of living. And what the shadow doesn't know is that when you jump and you take the leap and you go for it and you're free falling, there's actually an invisible walkway. And there's a little drop. This is like the scene in Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, where he had to believe. And I just watched that clip recently. I hadn't watched that movie for years, like probably over 15 years or something. But he takes the step, he takes the leap of faith, and then his foot lands on something. It doesn't look like there's anything, and it's a whole cavern that he's about to cross. Like, you can't jump it, and he kind of looks over to the side, and there's a path there. There's like a rock pathway connecting the two edges of the chasm, and he didn't see it before, but once he took the leap of faith, then he made it, and then he's walking along, and he's going to find the Holy Grail or whatever it is. So the shadow's last stand is, you'll notice when you're on the edge, of a transformation, when you're right about there. Okay, I'm just getting video ideas as I'm doing this, so thanks for bearing with me. But we need to say, The Shadow's Last Stand, and the pendulum. The pendulum, we're going to do that in the next video because we're at 45 minutes right now. But you'll notice that the shadow will, almost like a child, when they really don't want to do something, it will freak out. The aspects, the traits, the responses, the triggers, the behaviors will become more apparent, and you'll fall back into old patterns. You'll get old cravings. You'll seem like you're going backwards. But what it really is it's the shadow's last stand. And if you can push through it, because the shadow's trying to keep you in what is the known, right? It's trying to keep you in that was our last video. It's trying to keep you in what is known. Because the known is what the shadow is inside the box. It's what it's comfortable with. Wow, isn't that interesting? So if you, like, the shadow to you, your conscious mind, is the unknown, but to the shadow, it knows itself, and it knows its behaviors, and it knows the past. And so when you try to take the shadow somewhere it's never been, it wants to hold on to what it knows. Wow, as above, so below. Everything is like vice versa. It works in, wow, that's so cool. If you know what I'm saying, that's something. As above, so below. It's a hermetic principle. It's definitely related to that too. Anyway, because the shadow wants to stay with what it knows, and it's not just the shadow, it's your brain, right? We talked about that, because you're hardwired to survive, so we're going to lean away from the unknown. These are all just different ways of conceptualizing it, and you just use these different lenses of looking at different parts of yourself as an exercise, as a tool, as a perspective to allow you to understand and discover. And once you go through the process of self-discovery and becoming aware, shining light on the things that may not have been in your awareness, now you can do something about it. Now you can change it, but you can't change something that you're not aware of. So that's where this is all coming from. But the shadow's last stand is, you'll notice that when you're doing work on yourself and you're making progress, that there will be instances where you tend to slide backwards, and you may think, if you give into it and then you continue to give into it, you may spiral downward. But if you resist, and it's okay, give yourself grace, if you can give in a couple times. It's just, if you keep giving in, then you can spiral backwards. And then at some point you'll hit the bottom, and then you'll realize you can't stay there, so you need to go up. There's only up to go. But if you stop yourself, then you go back up, and you don't spiral downward. But you'll notice here. Let me here and draw this graph for you really quickly, and then we'll go. So, and I'm going to do another video on this, but this is time. It's over time, and then we have, I don't know, conscious awareness. And your consciousness expansion, right? And so the more limited you are in your conscious awareness, the more you'll be operating from your human 3D level, which is more in your body, and addictions and dopamine and just getting instant gratification. And then as you expand your consciousness and your awareness, then you start connecting with what really lights you up, and your purpose and your fulfillment, and your joy and love and connection, and becoming all that you can be, right? And so what tends to happen from my experience and from what I've learned, just about the human condition. What is everything? Everything is vibration. So everything is energy, which is a form of frequency or vibration. Um, Frequency, the word is just how many times does the wave cycle, the sine wave. What's a complete cycle is from here to here. No, starting there, back up to the top. So that's one cycle. So the frequency is how many times does that cycle happen per second. That's what frequency means. But vibration is everything is vibrating up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So that's what music is. That's what all electromagnetism is. It comes in frequencies. It comes in vibrations. So it makes sense that our life, when we're trying to make progress, and if you want success doesn't happen in a straight line. It's not a linear process. It looks more like the nature of reality, which is this. And you'll notice there is an upward trend over time. So there's still a trend, but on the day to day, you're having downs and ups and ups and downs and ups and downs. But as long as you keep working at it, and you notice the things, and you get awareness, and you notice when you were triggered, and you notice when you responded not ideally, and then you work on it, and you change your behavior, and you give yourself love and grace, and you accept yourself, and then you say, I want to change this, and you identify that. You're doing that work. You'll notice that it is going up over time, but it's only when you resist that work and you don't try to change anything for the better about yourself, that's when you can start to go down. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that because a low conscious awareness is not really a fun place to be. You could even consider that's what heaven, and from what I understand, and this might be a controversial statement, but one way to look at heaven and hell is their states of being, their states of awareness. So just throw that there. But if you're on a we'll just go back really quick. If you're on a certain path and you're working your way up, there's a point where there's a crossroads where if you keep going, you can't really go back to the way it was before because now you know too much. You've evolved your perspective, you've expanded your consciousness to a certain threshold where you can't go back anymore because you now you know. You can't unknow something. As much as you might want to forget it or unlearn it, it's a very difficult thing, nearly impossible to do as long as you retain your memory. So, in my opinion, from what I've learned, that's when your shadow can do everything it can to not to stop you from crossing that threshold, to stop you from taking that leap of faith off of that's the threshold right there from taking on to the next phase of life, right? And that's where we're coming back to the 9, right? Because we are there. We're there right now. So maybe that's why we're talking about all this, is to bring awareness that if you are getting into those states of maybe you feel like you're slipping back into old patterns, you can look at it like maybe this is my shadow resisting me going to the next stage. And how you get through that is tell yourself that you're safe. Tell your shadow and your inner child that they are safe. You got this. We got them. Because we're not in opposition. We're working together now. And that's what it means to become whole. We'll go more into the Shadow's Last Stand because that's like a movie. Like it's a really cool concept to me, and I can expand more on that. But that gives you the gist of it, is that the actions you'll find yourself like really kind of wiling out a little bit, and it's almost like a test where have you actually changed? And that's the true mark of if you've changed or not. How to know if you've changed is if you respond differently to the same stimuli. So if you respond differently to the same situation than you would used to respond, that's the mark of true change. That's how you know you've changed. So when you're no longer responding or reacting the same way as you used to, you're making progress. So this has been great. I've enjoyed this. Thanks for being here with me. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Please give this video a like, share, subscribe if you found value in this. All of those things help the channel grow, and we can build this community of like-minded individuals that are all here to uplift and support each other. I would appreciate your support of the channel, and I just hope you have a good rest of your day or night. Have a good sleep, and I'll see you on the next video.